Hello everyone and welcome back to Cute Crochet. My name is Sri and in today's video I am going to show you how to crochet this cute little turtle amigurumi. It's really easy to make and perfect for beginners, and they make the most adorable keychains. So let's see what we need to make them. You'll need a darker color yarn for the shell, a lighter color for the body, a neutral color for the underbelly part, and some scraps to embroider on the details on the shell. You'll need some safety eyes and backings, or you can use some black yarn to embroider it on like I have done here. For tools, you will need a crochet hook, a yarn needle, something to use as a stitch marker, and a pair of scissors. If you want to turn your amigurumi into a keychain, you will need a blank keyring like this. You can buy them online or use one from a broken keychain like I have done here. You'll also need some pillow fluff to stuff your amigurumi. So let's get started. For the head, I am going to use this light green yarn. This is a 4-ply yarn, and with it I am going to use a 3mm crochet hook, which is a couple of sizes smaller than what is recommended for this yarn. It's actually recommended to use a 4mm hook with this. We do this so that our stitches are nice and tight and none of the stuffing shows through. We are going to start by making a magic circle. To do that, wrap your yarn up and over your finger like so, forming a cross in the front. Then insert your hook underneath the cross. Take the yarn from the other side and pull through. Then again yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Now remove this loop from your finger, and this is the magic circle that we are going to work into. Start by making a chain 1. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Then we are going to make 6 single crochets into the magic circle. To make a single crochet, insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. You will have 2 loops on your hook like this. Yarn over and pull through the 2 loops, and that finishes 1 single crochet. Let's do it again. Insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2. Now we are going to make 4 more single crochets like this for a total of 6 single crochets. After you finished making 6 single crochets, you can pull on this tail to cinch the magic circle completely closed, and this brings us to the end of round 1. At the end of round 1, we have 6 single crochets. This amigurumi is going to be worked in continuous rounds, so we need to mark the last stitch of the round. For that, I am using a paper clip here, but you can use anything. You can use a yarn in a different color, or you can also get proper stitch markers. Round 2 is an increase round. For this round, we are going to increase in each stitch all the way around. An increase is simply placing 2 single crochets into one stitch. So go into that first single crochet and make 1 single crochet. Then make 1 more single crochet into that same stitch, and that is our increase stitch. Again into the next stitch place 2 single crochets. Now into the remaining 4 stitches of the round, make increases, that is 2 single crochets into the same stitch. When you reach the last stitch of the round, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into that stitch as well. This brings us to the end of round 2. At the end of round 2, you will have 12 single crochets. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. For round 3, we are going to increase into every alternate stitch. So into that first stitch, make a single crochet. Then into the next stitch 2 single crochets. Then into the next stitch 1 single crochet, then increase. Continue repeating like this: single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, all the way around. Once you reach the last stitch, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into it. For this and every other increase round, you should be increasing into the last stitch, and if you are not, you must have done something wrong in your counting and you will have to recheck your work. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. At the end of round 3, you will have 18 single crochets. For round 4, we are going to simply place 1 single crochet into each stitch of the previous round, keeping the stitch count constant at 18. Now we are at the end of round 4. Go ahead and replace the stitch marker. We are going to repeat the same thing as round 4 for rounds 5 and 6. Here I finished making up to round 6. Now I am going to put in my safety eyes. When doing this, make sure that your stitch marker is at the bottom. I am using 4mm safety eyes and I am placing them in between rounds 4 and 5. That's the first eye. For the second eye, I am going to place it 7 stitches apart. So count the holes in between the eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go into the 8th hole over here. This is what the placement should look like. Check it from both sides as well. I am going to now put in the backings and meet back up with you. Then for round 7, we are going to decrease. For that, make 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Over the next 2 stitches, we are going to make an invisible decrease. So go under the front loop of the first stitch. Then twist your hook around and go under the front loop of the second stitch. Then yarn over and pull up a loop. With 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2, and that's our invisible decrease stitch. Again, make 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Then invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches. Continue repeating the sequence of 1 single crochet in the next stitch and then invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches all the way around. Here I am almost at the end of round 7. Similar to the increase rounds, into the last 2 stitches of the decrease round, you should always be decreasing. This brings us to the end of round 7, which is our last round. At the end of round 7, you will have 12 single crochet stitches. Then slip stitch into the next stitch and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail to sew on the head. Next, we are going to stuff the head. Make sure that you are putting in enough stuffing and also going around and under the safety eyes. You can use your scissors or the back of your crochet hook to get into the tough spots. For the outer shell, I am going to use this dark green yarn. The first 3 rounds of the shell is the exact same as that of the head, so I am just going to speed through it. Start by making a magic circle and then make 6 single crochets into it. Then cinch the magic circle and mark the last stitch of the round. For round 2, increase in every stitch all the way around, making 2 single crochets into each stitch. For round 3, make 1 single crochet into the first stitch and then increase in the second stitch. Again 1 single crochet into the third stitch and increase into the fourth stitch. Continue repeating the sequence all the way around. Round 4 onwards, it's going to be different from the head. For round 4, we are going to increase in every third stitch. So make 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches. Then into the third stitch, increase. Again, make 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. Then into the next stitch, increase. Continue repeating the sequence of 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches and then increase all the way around. Here I'm almost at the end of round 4. Into the last stitch of every increased round, you should always be increasing. At the end of round 4, you will have 24 single crochet stitches. For round 5, we are going to increase in every 4th stitch. So make 1 single crochet into the first 3 stitches. Then into the 4th stitch, increase. Again 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. Then increase into the next stitch. Continue repeating this sequence of 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches and then increase all the way around. At the end of round 5, you will have 30 single crochets. This was our last increase round. Then for round 6, we are going to simply make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 30. This brings us to the end of the outer shell. We are going to keep the yarn still attached to sew on the underbelly later on. Now I am going to embroider the pattern for the shell. This is very easy. You will notice that each round forms a natural hexagonal shape since we have increased 6 times in every round. I am going to use this yellow yarn and I am going to start embroidering in between rounds 3 and 4. You can see these are the sides of the hexagons and the corners are where we have increased. Locate one of these increased corners and come in from the back. Be careful not to pull your yarn all the way through. Then locate the next corner, which should be 2 stitches apart, and go through it. Locate the next corner and come back up. Follow the natural shape of the hexagon and continue repeating like this. After making 3 sides of the hexagon, we are going to now go in the opposite direction. This will be much easier because we have already located all the corners. Next, I am going to embroider lines coming down from the corners of the hexagon. So look at one stitch that is directly below one of the corners and go in through it from the back. Then connect it to the corner of the hexagon. Then from that stitch, count 5 stitches. Come in to the 5th stitch from the back and connect it to the next corner. Repeat this 4 more times all the way around for all the 6 corners. After the embroidery is complete, tie a knot at the back using these 2 tails to secure the embroidery. For the underbelly, I used this light yellow color and I made the first 5 rounds of the shell again. Then I am simply going to chain 1 and fasten off. I am going to sew this piece with the outer shell back to back. Keep in mind that on the underbelly piece we are going to start sewing from the last stitch where we just fastened off. So this one right here. We are going to join the 2 pieces by making single crochets all the way around, but a little bit differently. On the outer shells, we are going to only go under the front loop of the stitches instead of both of the loops like this, only under the front loop. On the underbelly piece, go through both of the loops like normal. Then make a single crochet through all of these stitches. Then go into the front loop of the next stitch and through the corresponding stitch of the underbelly piece and make a single crochet. Continue making single crochets like this, joining the 2 pieces together all the way around. I am going to finish this until I have 4 stitches left and then I am going to meet back up with you. As you can see, working in the front loops make a lip around the shell. Here I have 4 more stitches remaining. Through this opening, I am going to first stuff my piece. Then to close up this opening, I am going to simply slip stitch through the remaining 4 stitches. Go in through the stitches like normal, not under the front loops only, and make a slip stitch through both of the stitches. After you finish sewing all the way, fasten off, leaving a little bit of a tail. We are going to use this tail to sew on our keychain later on. As you can see, making the slip stitches makes a divot on the shell where there is no lip, where the head can fit in snugly like this. For the flippers, I am going to start using the same color as the head. Start by making a slip knot. The simplest way of doing that is wrapping your yarn on your finger twice like so. Then pull the first loop over the second one and the second one up and off your finger. Then go in through that loop and pull tight, and that's our slip knot. Then we are going to chain 4. Then we are going to skip the first chain. The loop on the hook does not count. Skipping the first chain, make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Then single crochet into the next chain. Then in the next chain, make 3 single crochets in the same chain. Basically, we are going around the top of the chain. Now we are going to go back down the other side. If that first chain comes a bit loose like this, you can tighten it by simply pulling on this tail. Then make a single crochet into the next chain on the other side. If you pull it apart, you will be able to see the chain spaces more clearly. Make a single crochet into the next chain space opposite the previous single crochet we made into that same chain. Then make one more single crochet into the next chain. This is going to be the top of our foot or flipper. Then fasten off, leaving a long enough tail for sewing. You'll need to make another one of the same piece using the same color you used for the underbelly. We are going to sew these 2 pieces back to back. Tuck in all of the yarn tails and sandwich them in between the 2 pieces. Then using a yarn needle, we are going to sew around these 2 pieces. Only go into the front loop of the stitches when you stitch through them. I am going to go back and forth in between the stitches, sort of like a ladder stitch. Now this is one flipper complete. You will need to make 4 of these pieces. First, I am going to put the yarn tail of the shell on my yarn needle. Then coming in through the place where we fastened off, I am going to come out through the top of the shell. This is where I am going to attach my keyring. You can also attach the keyring on top of the head as well. Next, I am going to sew the head to the shell into that divot that we made for it right here. Make sure to position it slightly upwards and make the eyes level with the shell like so. Then I am going to sew all the way around the base of the head. When you get towards the top, try to center the head with respect to the pattern on the shell. This will help in keeping the positioning of the eyes correct and also it will help in positioning the flippers later on. After you have finished sewing on the head, come in through the base of the head and out through the bottom of the amigurumi. Next, I am going to sew on the flippers, aligning them with the pattern on the shell along with the tail. While sewing on the flippers, make sure that you are sewing them to the edge of the underbelly part and not the shell part, so that they appear to be under the shell. Sew through both layers of the flipper as you go. After sewing it on, come in to the base of the flipper and out through the bottom of the amigurumi. Here I came out through the same hole as the yarn tail for the head. Only do this if you don't want to attach a keyring. Here I did this by mistake. Now sew on the rest of the flippers in the same way and bring two of the yarn tails out through the same hole. It should look something like this. Now I am going to tie knots using these two yarn tails for each pair of limbs. Here, as you can see, I decided to bring the head yarn tail out through a different hole. You can cut the excess yarn off of these knots and then hide the knots into the body by pushing them in using the back of your yarn needle. Now for the tail, we are going to make it on these two stitches, lining it up with the spoke of the shell. For the tail, use the same color as the head. Wrap the yarn on your crochet hook like so. Then go under the right stitch. Into it, make a slip stitch to join your yarn. Then chain 3. Then we are going to skip the first chain and make a slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. Into the next chain, make a single crochet. Then go under the next stitch of the underbelly and make a slip stitch to join. Then you can cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a little bit of a tail for making a knot. Then bring that yarn tail out through the same hole as the first yarn tail. Tie a knot using these two tails and then cut the excess yarn and hide the knot into the body. Lastly, I am going to attach my keyring using this tail. Simply go through the jump ring of the keyring using that yarn tail and go back down to the same hole. Bring it out to the same hole as the yarn tail that's left. Then you can tie a knot using these two tails, cut the excess yarn and hide the knot into the body. This is the finished result. I hope you guys liked this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.